SandBox Forklift Operator Training, Day 3, 10 o'clock. Site Management and Box Delivery Expectations. Stage sheets and run orders. Stage sheets are created by the lead operator prior to starting any stage on site. Stage sheets and run orders are a list of boxes to be ran on the upcoming stages, listed in the order of which the boxes will be ran. They also include weights, sand type, and the amount to be consumed. These stage sheets show the boxes that have been selected to be ran for the upcoming stages. Stage sheets and run orders allow for the lead operator and the forklift operator to be on the same page prior to the start of a stage. It also allows for the forklift operator to prepare movements and box placements prior to the start of the stage. Stage sheets can be created in either SBS or in an Excel file. The stage sheet example to the right is a template that was made in Excel. Once a stage sheet is created and the box run order is correct, the lead operator will give the forklift operator the final stage run order. Stage run orders can be easily printed from the SBS stage sheet. The run order will give the box load information, when it will be used in the stage, the pad location of the box, and which station the box will need to be placed. We use stage sheets to be in sync with our customer on the volumes and type of sand that will need to be ran for each stage. Our customer and the engineer with frac are always given our stage sheets to verify that the correct sand type and tonnage is to be used prior to the start of each stage. We always confirm with them and have them sign off on the order before the start of the stage. We are also able to easily email them the stage sheets through SBS. Stage sheets also enable us to plan around incoming boxes and boxes to be used. The example to the right is a run order from SBS. This is what the forklift operator would be given prior to the start of the stage. The first box to be ran of this run order would be box 50024. Some stages may not require the full quantity of a box, and we may only run a partial amount of sand out of a box over multiple stages. The cut amount is the weight in which the box will stop being used. These partial boxes may be used over many different stages. The stage sheet to the right shows that box 94 will be cut with 10,000 pounds remaining, and box 48 would be cut with 15,000 pounds remaining. The remaining sand will be used on a future stage. All of the other boxes on this stage sheet show that they will be completely emptied. Forklift operators. 3 key aspects during a stage. For a forklift operator, there are 3 main aspects that they must do simultaneously during a stage. The first key aspect is driving the forklift. During a stage, the forklift operator must safely maneuver the forklift around the pad. They will need to maximize efficiency by minimizing movements and turns, and will need to manage the dance floor by knowing where to drive and ensure that nothing is in or enters your working area. The second key aspect is running the stage. They will need to always have sand on the stand or riser and stay ahead of frac by ensuring box run order is correctly put on the stand or riser ahead of time. They must always be prepared for any situation and watch for any failures on the forklift, stand, riser, or boxes. And finally, the third key aspect is inventory management. They must keep a clean and organized pad, keep up with the influx of delivery trucks, and ensure proper communication of inventory to the stand or riser operator. Pre-planning routes. As the forklift operator, you should always know all or most of the boxes that will be used on the upcoming stage. This knowledge should help you set yourself up for success by planning the routes to and from each box ahead of time. Pre-planning routes is a good tool to use during inclement weather, when multiple turns or slower movements may need to be completed to accomplish a successful move. You can compare operating the forklift to playing a game of chess, in the sense that you always want to be thinking a few steps ahead to get where you want to be in the most efficient way possible. You need to constantly be aware of how much sand is on the stand or riser, empties on pad, damaged boxes, and trucks waiting, etc. You can use this information to plan your routes. Always know where you need to go or where you need to end up. Try to prevent wasted movements on the dance floor. FYI, there are a few example scenarios at the end of this section to allow you to use some of the knowledge from this section. Box movement during a stage. During a stage, you must remember your number one priority as the forklift operator is to keep the stand or riser full of loaded boxes. You can either look at the scale weights or ask your stand or riser operator how much sand is left to determine if you have enough time to load or unload trucks. An efficiently run location will leave you with little downtime between box movements. Have a plan before the start of the stage and know which boxes will need to be moved and to where. Always have a plan. Always have an idea prior to starting a stage of where the empty box inventory will need to be placed. Planning a swap between sand types. At times we run multiple sand types on stages, and during the stage we will swap between the different types. Some sand swaps may result in partial boxes needing to come off the stand or riser. These boxes may be used on multiple stages. Your sand type swap should be pre-planned and shown on the stage sheet. As you can see in the run order to the right, we will be swapping from 100 mesh to 40/70 after box 1, 0, 6, 2, 3, 4. It is the forklift operator's job to be sure that each type of sand is placed on the stand or riser prior to the sand swap needing to be performed. Once boxes are in position, be sure to communicate the sand types and corresponding stations to the stand or riser operator. It is the job of the stand or riser operator to close and open the boxes and perform the sand swap. Once the boxes are closed, they will also need to communicate this to the forklift operator. Once you get to your different sand type, you'll empty out the last of the first sand type and then open the box of the new sand type. After a sand swap is completed, always confirm with the stand or riser operator if the entire box was consumed or if it is a partial prior to taking it off. This will determine where the box will go next. Cutting boxes. A cut box is any time that a box is not completely consumed during a stage and will need to be closed, leaving a partial amount of sand remaining in the box. These partial boxes may stay on the stand or riser to be used on the next stage, or will come off the stand or riser to be placed back in the inventory. Cut boxes are identified on the stage sheet by looking at the amount remaining, or a note that the riser or stand operator makes on the run order. These will typically be the last boxes of each sand type, and then usually will be one of the first boxes ran on the next stage. Knowing where your first cut boxes are is important because you will have less time in between swapping boxes since you're using less sand. Managing trucks. As mentioned previously, your number one priority as the forklift operator is to keep boxes with sand on the stand or riser. You should only be loading or unloading trucks when you have enough time to do so before the next box runs empty on the stand or riser. A common scenario during a stage that can increase your efficiency is when a box is nearing empty on the stand or riser. First, unload the truck that is present and place their load in the on-site inventory. Then, instead of pulling an empty from the empty inventory, allow for the truck to wait. Once the box is empty on the stand or riser, place the empty box directly from the stand or riser onto the truck that is waiting for an empty box. Then you can place the next box on the run order on the stand or riser. This saves the step of stacking the empty in a row. Your goal as a forklift operator is to make the least amount of moves possible to maximize efficiency. Adding boxes to the run order during a stage. The run order for a stage should list all of the boxes and the order that they will be ran for the stage. In some cases, additional boxes may need to be added to the order at the last minute. The stand or riser operator should always check that the slide gate works as soon as the box gets placed on the stand or riser. They can do this by performing a quick bump test on the slide gate. If for some reason the box's slide gate doesn't open, remove the box and simply go to the next box on the run order. Then pick a new box from an appropriate row and add it to the end of that sand type. Be sure to communicate the new box information to the stand or riser operator. This can get tricky in certain situations, like when you're on the last box of that sand type. For this situation, select a new box quickly and communicate the box information to the stand or riser operator. In the instance of wet or frozen sand, damaged boxes, or any other equipment or product issues, boxes may have to be swapped out during a stage. The forklift operator will have to notify the stand or riser operator about the swapped box. Then the stand or riser operator will have to let FRAC know that we had to swap a box. This is why it's crucially important for your stand or riser operator to check to make sure every box opens as soon as you set it down. Once the operator performs a bump test on the slide gate, they will let the forklift operator know that the box is good. The most important thing you need to do is not panic. Ignore any trucks waiting until you get it settled, and let your stand or riser operator know which box will be replacing the damaged one. Another way that a box may get added to the run order after the stage has started is if we are waiting on a box to be delivered. In this circumstance, once the box arrives, it will be placed as the last box of that sand type. Be sure to communicate to the stand or riser operator once the box is delivered, as well as where it will go in the run order. The pictures to the right show the view that the stand or riser operator has when the forklift is setting down a box and once the slide gate has been opened. In the bottom picture, you can see the sand starting to flow. End of stage walk around. At the end of each stage, and if time permits, a walk-around inspection of the dance floor should be completed by the forklift operator. If trucks are waiting to be unloaded, they are the priority during the downtime. Walk around the forklift and the stand or riser and check for any leaks or damages. If any are found, be sure to note and report them. Also, be sure to check areas on the stand or riser for leaking sand. Walk around the box inventory and look for leaking or damaged boxes. If any are found, be sure to note and report them. Walk around the perimeter of the dance floor and inspect the cones, chain or high-vis rope, jersey barriers, and ensure that the perimeter barrier is intact for the entire dance floor. Be sure to fix anything that has been moved or taken down. It is easier to fix small issues now than having to fix major issues later. Walk around the dance floor to identify pad hazards and add them to the JSA. Fix them or take note of them. If there is excess sand on the ground, use a shovel and clean the area. Get the pad inventory from the lead operator and go through the inventory. Ensure that the correct box placements mirror the pad inventory sheet. Once completed and everything is good, begin to prep for the next stage. Loading a box on a chassis. All chassis are equipped with 4 twist locks that are inserted into the bottom of the box and then twist to the lock position to hold down the box during transport. When moving boxes, always keep in mind, different forklifts need different techniques. Keep in mind the following when operating: visual limitations, equipment limitations, height limitations, etc. First, determine if the box is full or empty. You must always have the entire fork of the forklift inserted and have the box rest against the mast. Approach the chassis as straight as possible and use visual markers from the box and the chassis to let you know you're in the middle. Much like stacking boxes, you should align the pegs on the chassis with the holes in the base of the box. Once aligned, level out the box so that it is placed flat on the chassis. Setting a box down that's not level can damage the box or chassis. Once level, lower the box and insert the twist locks into the holes on the bottom of the box. Ensure that all 4 twist locks are fully inserted in the box before pulling out. Once placed down completely, put the forklift in reverse and allow the forks to slide out of the box. Once you feel it free up, you are good to reverse out. Misaligned boxes that need to be readjusted before lowered. Prior to lowering the box all the way, ensure that the holes on the bottom of the box are aligned with the twist locks. The picture on this slide show misaligned boxes that will need to be readjusted. As you can see from the arrows, if the box was lowered, as it is now, this is where the box holes would hit, and they would not go into the holes. Properly aligned box that can be lowered and set. This box on this slide is properly aligned with the bottom of the box. As you can see in the picture on the left, if this box would be lowered, the twist lock would insert into the holes. This is the correct position to lower the box. In the picture on the right, you can see the back side of the box, in which the twist locks were correctly inserted, and the forklift was able to pull away. Loading or unloading a step deck. In certain situations, SandBox uses step decks to move equipment. Equipment that may be hauled using step decks are mats, boxes, mobile offices, stands, risers, generators, etc. When loading or unloading a step deck, always make sure that everyone is in a designated safe zone prior to beginning the operations. No one is ever to be on the opposite side of the step deck during loading or unloading, as shown in the picture on the bottom right in red. The box loading or unloading portion of step decks are pretty much the same as with a chassis, but there will be different visual indicators. The driver is responsible for spotting the placement of the boxes and securing the load for transport. The driver is responsible for the load once on the road, so they may request that boxes or mats be adjusted before securement can take place. According to DOT, equipment loaded on step decks or flatbeds should not hang over the sides of the trailer. Everything should fit within the width of the trailer. On a step deck, most times, there are no twist locks located on them. In these instances, the sides of the box must remain on top of the step deck surface. Most times we load 4 boxes on step decks. There is a possibility that there will be some rear overhang by the last box. This is normal, but should be properly secured and potentially flagged by the driver before leaving the site. Take your time anytime that you are loading or unloading a step deck, and never push objects. When stacking mats, always remember to use dunnage to make the job easier. Never exceed the mat limit, which is determined by what type of mats you're loading and which piece of equipment you're using. You'll want to pick up the mats as close to the center as possible and place them on the dunnage. The dunnage creates a small pocket for your forks to fit in between the ground and the mats, so that you can back out of the stack without pulling the mats with you. To get mats out of a stack without dunnage, you'll have to carefully slide the forks in between the mats you're picking up and the ground or the mats you're leaving behind. This takes some practice. Just be sure you don't push the mats off the back of the stack. Try keeping your forks as flat as possible to minimize friction or potentially pushing the mats instead of sliding under them. Box management test. Test your knowledge. Scenario 1. The picture to the right is your current pad inventory. For the purposes of this exercise, these boxes are single stacked. There are 5 rows and 6 columns with a total of 23 loaded boxes. There are 13 40-70 boxes in columns 1, 2, and 3, and 10 100 mesh boxes in columns 4 and 5. And lastly, there are 3 empty boxes in column 6. You are about to begin a stage. The stage calls for 2.5 boxes of 100 mesh and 4 boxes of 40/70. We are starting the stage using 100 mesh and then swapping to 40/70 to finish. Question 1 is, what would your run order look like? Question 2 is, assuming the boxes used above for the last stage were ran as stated and that no deliveries take place, what would be the next stage's run order? And what box would we start with? At this time, please pause the video and take some time and discuss as a class. Come up with the best answers for the 2 questions for this scenario before moving forward. Scenario 1 answers. Question 1 was, what would your run order look like? The answer for this is that there are plenty of options here, but a good idea is to pull from the same columns. One key point is we shouldn't pull from column 1, since we need to leave room for more incoming 40/70 boxes. So my run order would look like this. First, for the 100 mesh, I would use these boxes in this order, 19, 20, 21. But would only pump half of box 21. Then for the 40/70, my run order would be boxes 4, 5, 6, and 7. Question 2 was, assuming the boxes used above for the last stage were ran as stated and that no deliveries take place, what would be the next stage's run order? And what box would we start with? For this, 21 would be the first box we would run, and it would be fully emptied since we only ran half of the box last stage. So my run order would then look like this. For the 100 mesh, boxes 21, 22, and 23, and then for the 40/70, it would be boxes 8, 9, 10, and 11. At the end of this stage, we would also not have any partial boxes since we ran half of 21 on each of the 2 stages. Test your knowledge. Scenario 2. The picture to the right is your current pad inventory. For the purposes of this exercise, these boxes are single stacked. There are 5 rows and 6 columns, with a total of 15 loaded boxes. There are no boxes currently in column 1. There are 8 40/70 boxes in columns 2 and 3, and then 7 100 mesh boxes in columns 4 and 5. And lastly, there are 2 empty boxes in column 6. There are also 3 boxes currently on the riser. You are coming in for your shift and will be swapping in the middle of a stage. The stage calls for 3 boxes of 100 mesh and 4 boxes of 40/70. We are starting the stage using 100 mesh and then swapping to 40/70 to finish. Your run order at the start of the stage looked like this. For the 100 mesh boxes, they were boxes 14, 15, and 16, and then your 40/70 was boxes 4, 5, 6, and 7. Question 1 is, which box are they currently emptying? Question 2 is, a truck is coming in carrying 40/70. Where should you put it and why? Question 3 is, which box would you replace the full box of 40/70 with on the trailer? At this time, please pause the video and take some time and discuss as a class. Come up with the best answers for the 3 questions for this scenario before moving forward. Scenario 2. Answers. Question 1 was, which box are they currently emptying? The answer is box 16. Question 2 was, a truck is coming in carrying 40/70. Where should you put it and why? The answer for this is column 1, row A, because column 3 is full and 2 is being pulled from. Question 3 was, which empty box would you replace the full box of 40/70 with on the trailer? The answer for this one is box 14 or 16, depending on how fast they need an empty.